Nice TV, Moshie Wagekeno.
Welcome back to Utuku Mohoro right here at Nice TV, and just a reminder, we are sponsored by Nice Records, and where they say where words fail, music speaks. I feel like Sir Emmanuel may need a song concerning this story. It's becoming more interactive, and many of us maybe they have already become addicts, or some of them are just thinking of becoming drug addicts. Remember, we are you are communicating with us on our social medias at Nice TV on Facebook, and remember on our YouTube it's Nice TV. You can watch the show on our application there at Nice TV, and you are going to learn a lot that you are going to talk about today. Sir Emmanuel, let's continue with your story. Tell us, have you ever reached a point that you regret yourself being alcoholic, or maybe you have reached a point that you went somewhere trying to commit suicide?
As this went on, as I was on a journey in drug addiction, and like I was saying, like I started coordinating. We had a group of 7 guys, and we got to a point that while I was high and dealing with my business, I got into a fight. I'm trained in martial arts and boxing.
Yeah.
And therefore, when this was happening, this guy came. I was selling earrings. So this guy says, I want gold earrings. But what I had were gold coated. And so he started breaking them. And as he started breaking them, I asked him what he was doing, and I told him that he was going to pay for that. And he said, I was just selling fake stuff. So we got into a fight because kitu moja unakosaga ni breki. Na hakuna mtu unaona kama ana nini. So in getting into a fight, this guy never knew maybe I was trained, but I got to hit him, but nilipiga vibaya, and I cracked his eyebrow, and he went down and fainted, but he was bleeding profusely. That is when, you know, in the streets while you're fighting, one of the things that happens is that people come, hey, weka hiyo ingine, kula hiyo. And with all that, after he went down, it just went silent. And then somebody out of the corner said, ameua. And another one started, ameua, 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 weka tairi. So I actually saw a tire coming from across the street towards me, and I was supposed to be lynched. And while this happened, people were there. Somehow this guy got back to his senses because he had fallen into a pothole full of rainwater. So he started sitting up. And you know, kama kawaida, gangs have their way of operation. My gang came, amefanya nini, amefanya nini? And people were like, wewe nini nini amefanya? And so they built a wall. And I had been held by 2 people. I looked towards one and I said, they looked like a policeman. I asked him, wewe ni nani? Mimi ni raia. I said, ondoka. And he moved away. The second one on the other side, I asked him, who are you? And he said, hata mimi ni raia na kupigania haki ya watu. I said, ondoka. And so kidogo ile namshtua, wakaondokea. My gang had put a wall. Wakaniambia, zama uishie. And for me, ilikuwa ni kagoroda idhia. Nikachomoka. And you see, people around that place had known me. And so wakati watu walianza kushtuka, huyu jamaa amekaa chini, he's still bleeding. Na huku my gang has already created a confusion, seek God. Na mimi pale kwenye biashara yangu nikaanza kufikiria, if God ataanza kuona labda ninasoma Biblia, ataanza kunipatia business and maybe I can get out of this. But 3 weeks down the road, and after the episode that now I had that excess, because nilikuwa nikianza kufikiria every time that I would hear my mom speak to me, you need God. And I would go, Actually, on that same day, she said, she came and told me, she took me with my sister and took me to a hotel where she bought lunch. And as she was talking, I walked out. So bought lunch. And as she was talking, I walked out. So for me, I would hear her voice. You're running away from God, because that's what she spoke to me about. And as I left, 3 weeks down the road, I would either hear my mom's voice say, you're running away from God. So katika hali ile ndo nikaanza kufikiria, I need maybe to make God see that I'm interested in him. Akininulia biashara, then I will walk away from this. But one day, na nile nilikuwa nikienda naenda nachukua Biblia nafungua, nafunga macho na point at a place. God had a reason for me to go through that. I read Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. And it says, come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. And even though your sins are as red as scarlet, I will make them to be as white as snow. If they be as red as blood, I will make them to be as white as wool. If you're willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. But if you resist and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. Mimi nilirusha Biblia kwanza. And I thought my high was going down again. And I went. Within that time ambapo mazee nilianza kusikia ile unakaa unaenda, so siku moja nimekuja tena having had an overdose kama saa 9 jioni. Ndipo nilianza, I started hallucinating. Today I can talk about hallucinating, but then I saw my kneecap dance. Ngozi yangu ilikuwa inacheza namna ile, ikiguswa na inzi ni kama ile ya ng'ombe. And I knew hapa ninakufa. So I stood up, my knees were weak, and I was just totally gone, and I knew hapa ninakufa. So nilitembea na ukuta, and I went to my room and I started crying out to God. If you save me today, if I do not die today, I will serve you. And from that moment, I got the purpose in life. That there is a generation out there, there are many young people out there that are into this. They do not know how to come out of it. They need somebody maybe that will tell them before they even get to that. Maybe they're hopeless, and in their hopelessness, they think that maybe this is the only way. And maybe, as you had asked, they want to impress others. I am mimi maze mimi ndo ule mse.
So just leave it at that, because it's look long. Mr. Japheth, you have listened to the story, and I can see you are burning to say something. It happens that many people who started doing drugs, they regret, and some of them end up committing suicide. Say something about that.
Okay, I think what I can just
briefly.
Yes, what I can just say that I think now you have come to the point. I need to explain, like drug addiction. Sometimes to some extent, you have drug addiction. It goes hand in hand with mental health. When you talk about mental health, I think you can give me some minutes. I just explain how it happens. When you take drugs, as the drugs, as you know, it affects our mental process, and when it affects our mental process, here I talk about the brain. In the brain, you know, the brain is made of the chemical cells that we call neurons, and these neurons, they have what you call communication chemicals that we call dopamine. When somebody takes drugs, I say they take drugs. They say, for example, they take marijuana, they take the alcohol, they are alcoholic. These people, when they take any drug that they take, the moment they continue taking drugs, our brain, it produces a lot of dopamine. When it produces a lot of dopamine, now the dopamine, it has to make our brain to not to function. The other function is to function. Like now, my brother said, like you stop thinking, you stop learning. Are you getting? Let's say, for example, and as you know that this chemical cell that we call dopamine is very responsible on the when we feel good, it's because of this chemical. This chemical, when it is released. But now when you take alcohol, we have excessive of dopamine. When we have excessive of dopamine, dopamine, it blocks other functions to take place. Each you can get, like my brother said here, like he started, you get people started being, we have what you call the symptoms of now the of addiction.
Yeah.
We have what you call anger past. When you have anger past here, you get people get so hungry very quickly, and they can't control their emotions. They are so emotional. I want to say that. I want to say again that because of this now when we have excess of dopamine, we have other chemicals. We have dopamine and serotonin. Now the imbalance of the dopamine and serotonin. Now that we have it's like balancing the equilibrium. When I talk about balancing the equilibrium, these two chemical cells, the dopamine and serotonin, they need to balance. Now because you are taking all the cause, the dopamine is going to be high than serotonin. Now this is the cause is going to cause the cause you to have mental diseases. And when we talk about mental diseases here, we can talk about anxiety. You can talk about you start having depression. You start having, this is when people they just thinking of suicide. So when they talk about suicide, you can have what you call it is called the due diagnosis, where you get by the addict is being treated because of addiction, and it's being treated because of mental diseases.
Thank you very much, Sir Emmanuel. My last beat on my schedule today, because of time. Tell us how you became sober after even seeing your kneecap move. May sound funny, but it's not.
I believe, for me, I actually was telling Japhet that thank God that I never went through rehab. Because on the day that I went and cried out to God, I don't know what time I slept, but that's the time that my desire for drugs went. That is just what happened. And beyond that, I started asking and questioning myself, because with the friends that you are using, they come asking, what is it that is happening to you? You're no longer, you look calm and all that. And I would tell them, guys, I'm not sure. Until somebody told me, like, hey, this was an experience with God. And that is what, to me, God changed me. To me, that was a miracle. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Japhet. I need it briefly because of time. Advise a viewer who is watching right now on how to abstain from drugs, and friends who do drugs. By friends I mean those birds of the same feathers. Na Kikuyu tunasema mukshera na mukodo akodo kakatake. Yani that person, when you walk with bad person, you become a bad person.
Let me just make it very brief. I want to say that addiction, it makes people, when somebody is addicted, it influences the families. I want to say that if you want to deal away with your addiction, if it is about our children, it's what you call, you avoid what can trigger for you to use the drugs. And when we talk about drugs, for those people who maybe have been taken to rehab, how are you supposed to do? You need to avoid even the people you work with. If the people you work with, you are working with, they take drugs, you need to deal away with them. I mean that if it is about you know addiction, it's a psychological thing. I mean, like, if you want to leave it, it's an habit. And then an habit, you are the one who started, and you're the one who can break it. I want to just say that even those triggers, the places that we faced after we have stopped, we need to avoid those places. Even in the community, we need to set the policies that can govern, even can govern our society, so that we have alcohol free, drugs free. We can even talk about, what about our children? There's something that I want to say with our parents who are watching. I want to tell them to train their children. They have what you call what? Delay gratification. When you talk about delay gratification, it is here to train children to wait for something. If it's about life, it's about education, if it's about success, we need to train them that drugs cannot go anywhere, and drugs, they cannot assist us. Let them learn to wait things. The moment they learn to wait things, they cannot be taken into taking drugs. Another thing that I can tell our viewers, so that they can leave using of drugs, I can tell them discipline is the key in anything that you do. For if you want to if you want to do something, please have what you call discipline. Discipline yourself. The way you wake up in the morning, the way even whatever you do. And I want to say that there's something that I want to point it out. the difference between successful and unsuccessful. The other people, it's because of the habits. Because of the habits. Habits are the things which is going to take you, which is going to take you to the places. If I can have good habits, it means I have good future. If I have the habits of not taking drugs, I can manage my finance. Most people in our country, the research that has been done is that we waste a lot of money on drugs. And this money, let's say for example, we have other people who are suffering, and those people are suffering. What if we were to put this money and then we help them? I think we can have a very good society. So I want to finish by saying that me and you, we have a lot to play. For those ones who have taken alcohol, for those ones who have not been addicts, let us all look away that we can finish. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and I'm happy to share with you. My name is Tegenya Japheth, a psychologist and a mediator. I wish you well, all the viewers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Japheth, for coming today. Simon, thank you for your confidence. I know it's not that simple. Tell us your handles and how we can get in touch with you.
You will find me on Facebook, Emmanuel and Chege, Emmanuel and Chege. I also run, I mentioned it also, Wakanda Man Speaks, which is a page on Facebook, and this is a place where I use it as a platform to encourage people in dealing with daily lives. And I think afterwards I will give you the permission to give my number to people who will be willing, but maybe if we can also, I believe we can be able to help many people together in this journey. And thank God I've had the privilege of traveling the world over, just speaking about this and helping young people in overcoming addiction, in setting purposes for life and walking that way straight. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. You never know, this evening maybe we have saved a life somewhere, and take it from me, this is a show that will need to be watched and rewatched. Out of Kizungu, negatho cia mwanya mwiroreri wa ceceni ya Nai Steven uketekera gukorwo kinyitanira na ithui thini wa itena riri ria mbere ria utuku wa mohoro. Nie ndirathi haraya ni amu ndagika cigana ona ta ndagika kenda uguo nigukorwo ngicokereria metha-ini itu ya mohoro, ngorwo ngikumenyithia mangi na maingi maria matuikite ma kuhanika guku bururi-ini hamwe na nja wa itoka cia bururi. Tucemanie.